Last week, a sales rep who's about my age was in my office, and we were talking about how difficult it is to try and stay healthy. She asked me, well, what do you take for supplements? And I showed her on my desk. I take this, that, and the other. And she said, oh, my doctor checked that a couple years ago. I'm fine. And I said, oh, no, you should definitely be checking that several times a year to make sure it's as high as it should be. So I pulled out testing kits, we pricked our fingers, tested our labs, and sent them in. And the results were far from ideal. We were both disappointed. Let's start with number 3 of my top 3 supplements, and it is one of the ones that we checked. This supplement is omega-3. When my friend and I checked this in our test, it came back in the 5.7 range, and it should be north of 8. The only folks that I've ever seen keep it up north of 8, in fact, in the double digits, were some of my sardine fans. Yes, they ate sardines for a month, and sure enough, their number came back at above 13. So if you don't like to eat sardines every day, omega-3 is very valuable in the way it improves our longevity, specifically looking at the heart health, your eye health, and your brain health. Keeping that omega-3 high, it is difficult. When you first start taking foods that are high in omega-3, you'll find a universal complaint that everybody burps them up. And indeed, if you've ever used sardines to try and raise your omega-3, that happens. The absorption of the omega-3 is difficult, and there are some things that you can do to improve it. You could eat sardines for a week and your body would figure it out, but most people don't tolerate that. Several of the supplements have reformulated the omega-3 to be a triglyceride form. You'll know it's the right form because they advertise it and they charge you for it. It does take more expense to unwind that supplement from its natural form and put it back together in the more absorbable, less burpy way. So a triglyceride form of omega-3 is a valuable and potent way to raise your health score. 95% of all Americans are deficient, and unless you're in Japan or eating like people from Japan, you're probably going to need to supplement. Or several of those cans of sardines. But most importantly, you should take this with other fats. That does help the absorption, even if it's not that triglyceride form. So the second supplement is one that I actually didn't test in the blood test, and I often don't test it in patients. The importance of magnesium is abundant. From mental health to neuroplasticity to the synaptic function of your muscle cells. In other words, without it, you get cramping, and with it, you get a better functioning of your muscle cells. To the way you sleep, the list is endless on how important magnesium is. And if you're going to place bets, bet that you're deficient. Unless you're taking supplements regularly of magnesium, almost everyone is deficient. I can feel the deficiency sneak up every week in my life when I fast. I take the supplements and I am trying to get ahead, but I fast every week. And when I get to that 48 hours to 60 hours of fasting, my body has diuresed. It has removed excess fluid. Now, this is a good thing for me at 52 years old, but it also sweeps out a bunch of magnesium. So any excess that I had on board is probably in the toilet. And this book by Dr. James Nicolantonio is an excellent read, but is a tome. When you look into his resources and the sites that really outline which form of magnesium should you take, I'm a big fan of the magnesium L-threonate, but it is the most expensive. In preparation for this video, we ordered several supplements, and one of them was magnesium threonate in the gummy form. Now, this was not my idea, but in the name of science, I had a few. It shot my blood sugar up to 200, and the food craving was actually a little hard for me to resist, so I ended up taking too many, which then gave me diarrhea. So my supplement ended up in the toilet. Take those magnesium supplements regularly, and if you want the ones that are slow on the gut, easy on cost, I use a slow mag. I usually take one of those on the days when I'm not fasting and 2 on the days when I'm fasting. And the most important supplement that I take that I really work hard at elevating is vitamin D. Yeah, vitamin D is not just a vitamin, it's a hormone. And when my friend and I sent in our results, we were both woefully low. We were in the mid-30s, which may look like a normal level if you're looking at standard labs, but I aim for peak brain performance. I also know that if I get low on my vitamin D, I tend to slump in energy, in mood, and sometimes get more illnesses than I like to admit. The vitamin D that I strive for is 50 or above. The reason I reach for that is I know that to repair any mental damage or to have that peak brain performance, 50 is the minimum viable product for the best functioning brain. However, I fall short frequently. When I routinely take the supplement, I do great. But as I said earlier, I'm not the best at doing that. I also live in Florida now, so I keep thinking, I should be able to get this from the sun. In another effort to try and raise my vitamin D, I invested in a vitamin D lamp. But apparently the only way that works is if you sit in front of it. So I am trying to sit in front of my vitamin D lamp for about 5 to 6 minutes, at least 3 times a week. Yet my vitamin D was only 38, so I have room to improve. When you add vitamin D to our cells, that hormone goes into the cell and then into the nucleus, and it helps the nucleus transcribe the proteins that that cell is meant to deliver to your body. So the superpower of cells like astrocytes in your brain are because of the proteins that are transcribed out of the nucleus. They are delivered to the brain and allow you to have that peak brain performance. That same application is applied to heart cells and bone cells and immune cells. Every single cell in our body needs the help of vitamin D to deliver the transcription proteins required for their superpower, for their ability to help our body. It's why a minimum level of 50 is the goal. That's what it takes to keep the brain from sinking backwards. I seek to keep my vitamin D from 50 to 80 just for maintenance. But when I'm helping patients repair from a disease, I want them pushing north of 70. There are folks that see it tip above 100, and I just tell them they can slow down on the supplement. The real best benefits appear to be somewhere between 50 and 100. And I hope you're doing a better job than I am at keeping it there. The vitamin D, the omega-3, those are powerful replacements. But if you want to see my favorite way of increasing magnesium and the experience of somebody seeing a float for the first time, check out this next video. It's part of that American Tradition documentary that we did a couple years ago. I'll see you there.